Today we will be talking about your sensitive gut, specifically diarrhea. Alejandro is sitting in class when he suddenly feels belly cramps and the urge to go again that day. He raises his hand and, after being given permission, runs at full speed towards the restroom. His stool passes quickly. It is loose and watery. What's going on with Alejandro? Well, you see, Alejandro has diarrhea. What is diarrhea?
In order to answer this question, we must first briefly review the digestive system. First, food enters the body at the mouth, where it is chewed and swallowed. Next, it passes through the esophagus. Here, it spends about 8 seconds before it gets to the stomach. In the stomach, food is digested and broken down further by different acids. This takes about 2 to 6 hours. Next, food goes into the small intestine, where it is further digested. The small intestine absorbs nutrients and water. This takes about 3 to 5 hours. Next, food passes through the colon. This takes about 4 to 72 hours, and here more water is absorbed. Finally, it exits the body through the rectum.
Individuals who suffer from diarrhea have very loose and very watery stools, often occurring many times a day. These types of bowel movements make you dehydrated, since your intestines are unable to absorb water properly from digested foods. There are two types of diarrhea. There is chronic diarrhea and there is acute diarrhea. Acute diarrhea usually lasts 1 to 3 days, but diarrhea lasting more than a few days is a potential sign of chronic diarrhea, a more serious condition where symptoms usually last more than 4 weeks. So how did Alejandro get diarrhea? There are many ways Alejandro could have gotten diarrhea. For example, food poisoning, a bacterial infection. Food poisoning by a bacterial infection is usually the result of drinking contaminated water or eating food that is contaminated with germs. A common example of this is salmonella. This is a bacteria often acquired from eating raw meats. Another cause could be food sensitivity. Food intolerance and sensitivity includes people who are lactose intolerant or sensitive to sugar substitutes. How can Alejandro get better? It is essential and important to stay hydrated. One needs to drink plenty of clear fluids like water, juices, or sport drinks with electrolytes to replenish the water lost with diarrhea. One can also go on the BRAT diet. This diet is often helpful, and it stands for bananas, rice, applesauce, and toast. Bananas bind and slow the bowel movement, while the other items are low in fiber, which are easier for your digestive system to digest. Finally, as a last resort, one can buy an over-the-counter medication, such as Pepto-Bismol, which can also help. But it should be noted that this medication may temporarily turn your stool black, which is completely normal and not harmful. Prescription medications can also be a source of treatment, like paregoric and Lomotil. So how can it be prevented? Well, you can prevent diarrhea with good food hygiene. Since diarrhea is most commonly a result of infections acquired from eating mishandled and contaminated foods, you can prevent this type of diarrhea by utilizing good food hygiene. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of care. When dealing with food safety, it is important to keep the following factors into consideration. Number 1. Cleanliness. Wash your hands before you eat. Rinse all raw products and fruits thoroughly with water before cutting or eating them. It will go a long way in preventing any potential food illness in addition to diarrhea. Wash surfaces like cutting boards and countertops with soap and water on a regular basis as well. Second, you can follow the 2-hour rule. It is important to reheat foods 140 degrees Fahrenheit that are left out for more than 2 hours at room temperature. The heat will kill off the bacteria, preventing illness. Also, bacteria doubles every 20 minutes at room temperature, so it is important to refrigerate foods as soon as possible if they are not being eaten. Refrigerate below 40 degrees Fahrenheit or freeze below 0 degrees Fahrenheit. When thawing foods, you should use the refrigerator or immerse the food item in cold water. You should cook the food items quickly after thawing. Next, you should consider separation. Separate meats, raw meats, with cooked meats, and use different cutting boards for meats and vegetables, especially uncooked ones. Next, you must be careful with cooking. Fully cook meats, poultry, and fish to get rid of germs in the food items. Generally, you should cook meats up to 145 degrees Fahrenheit, poultry up to 165 degrees Fahrenheit, and fish until it turns opaque. Sauces, soups, and gravy should be heated to a boil. It is generally not advisable to eat raw meats or unpasteurized bottled milk products or juices. Finally, if you would like to learn more about food safety or useful tips um, for food handling, you can contact the USDA Food Safety and Inspection Service at 1-888-674-6854. The HHS Food and Drug Administration at 1-888-723-3366. This is a 24-hour service, so you can call anytime. Lastly, but most importantly, make sure to strengthen your own immune system to fight off not only diarrhea, but also other infections by adopting a healthy lifestyle, eating sensibly, exercising regularly, and sleeping adequately. Well, there you have it, Alejandro. You're all better now. See you next time.